Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ain't This Fun Podcast, episode 16. It's our usual bi-weekly guest, Erik Childress.
I've been on 18 episodes so far.
18?
Yeah.
There's only 16. How'd you do that? Did you travel into the future?
You'll find out.
Yeah. Go into another reality, maybe?
Something like that.
Yeah. You've had a busy week.
I have. Yeah. And this podcast is here to for me just to put the smile on my face, basically. And that's what the entire thing is designed for. And it's not like it's been a bad week. It's been a very incredibly busy week, which I'll talk further about later on.
Oh, okay.
Shamelessly.
Hey, that's all right.
But
yeah,
okay. It's been one of those weeks where like the schedule doesn't happen the way it's supposed to, and just I felt today. I think all I did was type emails and book flights. I think that's all I did today.
Well, booking flights is always fun.
I was trying to get. I was talking. I asked someone after I had booked a couple flights today if they have the same anxiety that I do when you're booking a flight. Now I'm booking a flight for other people, which is a whole other special kind of mini hell to be put in. Nothing against the people I'm doing it for. It's on my own personal anxiety list, because at least in the past, as was told to me today, it got better, that when you book a flight, it is so final. Like, if you mess up, you're screwed. If you mess up, you're either not getting on the plane, or you're going to lose some money trying to fix it. You're screwed. And there's like almost no easy fix. And
when you're doing it for someone else, like we said.
Especially that, yeah, because you have to get in all of their information and make sure that it's right and that I didn't put it in the wrong box and all you just go over. My mind mentally goes over it like 60 times, and I like to hit the okay, purchase now is it feels good when it's all over.
Of course,
but I mean,
the
but even then, still, yeah. But even still, then it feels. I always feel like I've done something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though you're not.
Yeah. I'm waiting for someone to tell me just like that this name's spelled wrong, or just something.
That was the wrong time.
Yeah.
That was not the one you were supposed to do. That's
right.
Not what we agreed on. I thought it was such and such.
It's not
even doing it for family members. It's the same thing. Just it doesn't have to be what you're doing it for. You're doing it for other people. All it takes is one misunderstanding or.
Yeah, and it's not even so much like I'm getting like some pushback or complaints or anything like that, or that I was going through some like, can you fix this? Can you fix this? Can you fix this? Oh, it was. I mean, that's part of the anxiety leading up to making the thing, is making sure you have all the details ready, so when you're ready to do it, it's all like there for you.
Yeah, it's your stress. You're the one doing it to yourself.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Totally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I haven't had that kind of stress. Thankfully.
Yeah.
But I've been sick and miserable.
Yeah.
For 2.5 or 3 weeks, and I finally had enough. I had to take time off of work to go to the doctor, and they got me on a nasal steroid and a double high dose antibiotic.
Wow.
The pill, I'm not shitting you, is the size, if your pinky, from your last knuckle all the way to the tip of your finger. It's enormous, and I got to take 2 of those a day.
Yeah, well, you know where I stand on pills. Well, just I'm not good at taking them. I've gotten better ever since I had my my gallbladder surgery years ago. That was a particular type of pain. Just like, yeah, I don't give a whatever. Just do what I got to do. It wasn't pleasant, but I've gotten. The gullet has opened up a little better for it over the years. But I think the biggest pill I ever took was when I had like my toe problems, not ingrown toenail, but just I was having that weird inflammation a couple times, and they gave me something, that was like that kind of thing, and you had to take it whole.
Yeah, it's like a meal, but you
Kind
can't
of.
chew on it. It's ridiculous. This thing is huge. The bottle's extra crazy big. It looks like a cartoon version of an aspirin or of a prescription bottle. It's so enormous, and then the pills inside are enormous. They look like something from the Jetsons that like a whole meal comes in. It's ludicrous.
Yeah.
But in like the last 30 hours or so, I'm better. I'm hoping tonight's sleep makes it.
You sound better. We taped a podcast a couple days ago, and you were not. I mean, you sounded okay, but you had a cough that I haven't heard yet. So it's like your own personal contractions.
It was bad. I almost fainted the other day. I had gotten to
what?
I got into such a coughing fit that I literally couldn't catch my breath.
Wow.
And I was standing up, so I sat down.
Oof.
Because I really did. I felt like I was gonna.
Did you get dizzy?
No, not dizzy. Like I felt like I was gonna black out.
Oh God.
It was seriously like 30 full seconds of the hardest, most guttural coughs, and it just wouldn't go away. And I literally like, oh my God, and I sat down to finish because I thought I was gonna just go head first into the floor. So
there needs to be a science fiction movie. I mean, there have been science fiction movies about people going to sleep and waking up in a different reality or a different time period or something like that. But there really should be like it should be like a thing in the future, like something that you can actually purchase.
Yeah,
you can actually go to sleep for like 2-3 years, but not age.
Oh, not age. That's different.
Not age. Yeah, if you age, what's the point?
I'm thinking of the SNL skit with Farley, where they give the cold medicine and he sleeps the whole winter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Something like that. Yeah.
I think it's called Hibernol.
Hibernol, I think is correct. Yeah. Sleeps right through the winter. Several other viruses will go through your body while you sleep.
He wakes up. He's got the big like Rumpelstiltskin beard, and the wife's like, "Oh, did I miss your birthday?" And she's like, "Oh, it's okay." Yeah.
Yeah. As weirdly enough, I think of the positive of doing something like that. I mean, you can't imagine. I mean, because imagine if you do that. Like, hey, I'm going to go, pay my $100,000 and go to sleep for a year, and you wake up, a nuclear holocaust has happened. Like, it's, idiocracy has happened. It malfunctions. You end up upgrade, right? But I just think like if you could imagine go to sleep for 3 years and you wake up and just like, okay, what came out in the theaters? Where do I start? Let's go.
There would be a lot of binging.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of binging.
TVs, movies, games, comics, books, all kinds of stuff. Yeah. You'd have a plethora of new stuff to read.
Yes.
Not like I can't keep up as it is, but
yeah, it's bad enough. Yeah. So maybe it's a bad idea. Scratch that.
Scratch it.
Get
rid of it. All right. So
we've talked about so many positive things already.
Yes, the good thing is I'm getting better. And the good thing is most of your stress that you self-impose is going to be done soon. So
I hope so.
Those are the positives, right?
Yes, I think so.
Got to flip it. Got to twist it.
Right. Flip it for real.
That's right. Flip it for real. It's been 20, as we all know.
Yeah.
It's been 25 months of a nightmare hellscape out there. I'm going to keep using that as long as I can. And due to that, this is the one podcast that is here to save you. It's here so we can talk about things that make us happy. And hopefully you will try them and it will make you happy as well.
Correct.
Or if you know about them, you can comment and tell us why they make you happy too. Or maybe even give us suggestions, and then maybe we can do it and talk about it next time.
Yes, feed our happiness.
Yeah.
So we can feed yours back.
There you go. Then it becomes a symbiotic relationship.
Exactly.
So yeah, the format is 3 things that make us happy or bring us joy or whatever. And then one thing at the end that we're looking forward to that we hope is going to make us happy and bring us joy. And like I knew this was going to happen. Zoom is doing it to us.
They're doing the 40-minute
time thing.
Time thing?
Yep.
What is that all about?
I don't know. So we're going to have to put this on pause, and I'm going to have to so that'll be the good click here. That'll be we'll restart. Not restart. I'm just going to hit the button. I'm going to send you a new invite, and we'll bring it right back.
Okay. Hello?
All right, we're back. So just for the sake of argument, this is not something that's going to make either of us happy. I just looked to see what's going on with Zoom and why all of a sudden this is doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not joking. 6 days ago, they removed the unlimited for one-to-one calls on Zoom.
Okay.
I did not know anything about that. But
No.
it turns out that's what happened. So we're probably going to end up doing this until I pay so that I can make a phone call on Zoom.
I found next time this happens though,
Yeah.
I found something that might help.
Okay, well, we'll figure that out. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, that's the format. What I normally, 3 good things, 1 we're looking forward to. What I normally do is ask my guest, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I will defer to you.
All right.
Right back at you.
There you go. All right. Mine is going to be Moon Knight.
Okay. This might be the first time this has happened in your show, because my first thing was going to be Moon Knight.
Well, there you go. We can attack it from both angles.
You talk, and I will actually try to come up with a third thing while we're talking.
It's up to you, or we could just talk about this. Either way, it works. It's kind of interesting that we both picked it, and we both had it as our first one. So
yes,
I think it's okay if we just do it this way. I'm fine with it. We got to finish it last night. We binged the last 2. I hadn't seen the week before, and I really liked it. We talked about it a little bit on your podcast, I think, or maybe we were just chatting
briefly.
About
we're talking about sort of the rankings of the
shows. Yeah, that's
shows.
right.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. I liked how they resolved everything. I liked the mid-credits stinger. I like what they did with that. I knew something like that was coming, and so I'm glad to see that they pulled it. I talked to you briefly the other day about how I didn't like the close-up hand-to-hand action, and we both kind of enjoyed the blackout stuff during the action scenes in the first 2 episodes. And we were like, I was like, yeah, I kind of like how they did that, but when they started showing him fighting, like in that ring with the art dealer guy or whatever, I was like, it doesn't look so hot. And we were chatting about that. However, the fight scene in the hospital and the fight scene in the sort of alley of that town, it was better, significantly better. And I was like, okay, that's good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think they did pretty well. I think they pulled it off. And with the mid-credit stinger, it looks like at least the hopes are we're going to get a second season out of it.
Yeah, I think this is the best of the Marvel shows, and for many reasons, too. For one, it's a show that is really focused on the character itself, as particularly what's going on with Mark / Steven. It's a show that seems really interested in that dilemma that's going on inside of his head. It's not just some little quirky thing that separates this character from others. Like, oh, this is our character with schizophrenia. No, they actually dive into it, and they dive two heads first into it by the 4th episode, and then they give you that 5th episode. Like, I didn't know, like, going into the last episode, I just watched about an hour ago.
Oh, okay.
Tonight. I didn't know how they were going to resolve everything. I didn't know if it was going to be satisfactory, honestly, because that last episode was so into the netherworld, basically, that I was like, well, how are they going to bring this back from there? Because they didn't resolve it at the end of episode 5. How are they going to get everything back into the real world in this final episode and satisfy everything? And they satisfied things, I think, as well as you could possibly imagine. I think Oscar Isaac gives the best performance of all of these shows. I think he is absolutely incredible doing the two characters and the voices and everything, and he's having a good time. They do something great with Hawk that not a lot of movies and television shows do with their central villain. We're all sort of like, the James Bond villain, you kind of know who he is, and then eventually he explains everything he's going to do, and then you watch him do it, right?
Sure.
That's okay. But not every, and the ones that I thought of while watching this were, it was funny enough, 3 Batman movies. The Christopher Nolan Batman movies, particularly the 2 Dark Knight ones, and the new one, the Matt Reeves one, where there's a villain, he's up to something. You haven't quite figured out exactly what he's up to. And then it's unleashed late. Instead of there being a big sort of triumph moment over what the character's doing, it becomes as big a reveal late in the proceedings that now you realize, oh, this is what he's up to. Oh, shit. It feels like a bigger threat when it's kind of kept from you for so long. And then by the end, when he's got his minions doing what they're doing, which they could have done more on. This is not the best version of that, but sure. But I liked it. I liked the way that they did that and kept Hawk's character somewhat of a mystery throughout. Maybe there was something to him because he was corrupted by Khonshu and what that does to someone, and he realizes that Khonshu's a kind of a lying bastard himself, that maybe there's something to empathize with a character like that.
I think too, it's just like any other, god or gods in these kinds of pantheons like that.
Yeah.
They tend to be a little self-serving. They tend to need servants to do their bidding. They tend, whether he's lying, whether he's not, very rarely are they ever shown as being altogether good.
Yeah.
They tend to not always be benevolent in just about any of the pantheon of any gods, really, when you think about it. But other than Taweret, probably gonna say that wrong. The hippo that ushers the people into.
I love the hippo.
Yeah, she's great. But even then, she's kind of like Carry On, the boatsman that takes people to hell.
Right. Yeah.
She seems very, happy and cheery, but in a weird way, she's really taking you. She could be taking you to hell. Like,
she's kind of sad about it, but she's trying to maintain an upbeat attitude.
Yeah. Which is kind of similar to the Death character, name's Death, in Sandman. The female sister of Dream. She's just sort of very nice person. Hey, how you doing? here. I'm here to take you to the next world. She's more sort of calming, whereas Taweret seems very sort of pleasant and nice about the whole thing because, again, obviously she's also ushering people into their version of heaven. But
or hell.
Well, that's the thing is, there are obviously people she has to unfortunately let, go into the bad world. But all around, I think they did a really good job. I like that character a lot, and it's no coincidence at all that you're mentioning a bunch of Batman movies because, yes, the movies themselves obviously have a style to them. Well, there's a reason, is that Moon Knight is kind of Marvel's Batman. It's not, obviously, and when I told you and we saw the preview, I'm like, yeah, he's kind of like the Batman, but there's a lot of other stuff going on, and you're like, oh, okay, it'd be interesting to see what's going on then. And then I think you saw the first couple, and you told me, you go, yeah, I really like what they're doing with this character. Yeah, it's different. He's like Batman, but he's not. Does he really have those powers, or is he just some rich guy running around in a suit beating people up and justifying it somehow? Turns out he's maybe not just one person, he's two people. You always had people talk about Batman being, he's either Bruce Wayne putting on the suit and becoming Vengeance, or really, once his parents died, he became Batman, and he puts Bruce Wayne on to facilitate his ability to continue to be Batman. Bruce Wayne is the mask, not the Batman. So it's kind of like he has two personalities in a weird way, but it's not. He has his own mental issues, his own mental health issues. But Moon Knight is way more in your face, obvious. Like, this is obviously, multiple personality disorder and what it was, dissociative disorder, I think they call it. And so, and then obviously towards the end here, we're going to spoil it, but anybody who's listening to this probably, hopefully they watch it anyway. But
spoiler alert.
Yeah. They hinted at some other stuff going on with him, and they finalize it with that mid-credits scene of showing the taxi driver, in this case the driver, Loxley, third personality. So it's not just two. What I do like is that the twist I liked was, I knew Loxley was coming, but it didn't occur to me that the blackouts in episode 1 and 2 were Loxley. You just assumed it was Spectre because he's the mercenary.
Yeah, right.
You just assumed it. And then when Mark Spector's going to die or fight or whatever, instead of him giving it over to Steven, somehow he fugue states, like he says.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're in the military and you go in a fugue state and you go AWOL on accident. Yeah, it turns out it was not even Stephen Grant. It was Loxley. It's a whole third personality.
It's such, and I admit I had to give myself a little one of these at the end because I explained that correctly to someone who was watching it, and they're just like, what just happened here? I'm like, remember when he blacked out and he didn't know, what happened? I'm like, it's that guy. That, and that's something else, because that the other person called, like, well, Mark was in the front seat. I'm like, no, nope. And I saw someone, I had seen someone earlier today, only one person in my Twitter feed ranked the shows and had Moon Knight very low. They did not like it. And a big part of the complaint seemed to be like, well, there wasn't enough Moon Knighting, so to speak. And I was wondering, because I know you had said the other night that you seemed to be liking it, but we didn't go into a full discussion of it. And that was something that I thought that I could hear you saying that, not in a shallow kind of way, like there's not enough fighting, right, that kind of thing. But that is a character that you like so much that you want to see the bandaged guy, kicking some ass. And like you said, that some of the hand-to-hand stuff didn't really work for you early on. It cleared it up in the final one. But to me, that's one of the pleasures of the show. I mean, unless you can really reinvent a fight or to pull something off in a fight that you've never seen before, it's just another fight.
Right.
Okay. If you care about what's going on, plot wise, character wise, then those fights mean something more. Okay, it doesn't have to mean the world. It might mean a little bit better than your average fight, but I mean, I was so interested in the character. I mean, you're the alter ego, or the person that they always have been. Your Bruce Wayne, your Tony Stark, and whatnot. That character to me is always more interesting than whatever's in the suit. The suit is just an extension of that person. So if the human, so to speak, person is interesting, then I'm happy to see them put on something, a piece of armor, or envelop their superpower and kick some ass, because it's an extension of that person. That to me is the real interesting thing about comic book stories. Just a guy that I think that's one of the reasons why I don't respond so much to Doctor Strange, because I don't think he's that interesting a character. And then all he does is the rings and stuff. I get to do this on video now.
That's right.
And he does this and he does like that, and then something happens and he opens a portal, or the whip thing comes out and whatnot, and it's just not that interesting to me. This is
that's the duality of any good superhero story,
right?
Is the character and their power. I mean, there are some characters who just are themselves.
Yeah.
But when people explore the more personal side of that, I think that's when those characters become more interesting. I mean, you have a robot like Vision. A couple years ago, they did a series where he sort of had like a synthetic family, and it wasn't him running around always, punching people and shooting people and this kind of thing. It was him sort of exploring what it might be like to be human. Kind of like Data from Star Trek, there's that, or Pinocchio or whatever. But there's, again, like, the classic examples are, Batman, are Hulk, which is obviously, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, that kind of stuff. But,
right.
When a person is more human, especially someone like a Batman or a Tony Stark, or even in this case, Moon Knight, although he ends up kind of having powers, I think it's even more interesting when you have someone who has no powers fight alongside people who have powers. That person is only human, but they're extra human in a way.
Yeah.
Even Cap has powers technically. He's not just a normal dude. Sam Wilson is not. The Falcon is just a dude.
Yeah.
I think it can be made more interesting, and that's what, especially Moon Knight, it could just be another rich guy with a suit, and I think Marvel knew when they created him not to do that. They got to make something else out of him. So yeah, he has some powers, but he also has the psychosis that would probably go along with having a god talk to you, or you think you're talking to a god, and that makes you want to do stuff. Like that. The character is very interesting. He's on the spiritual's the wrong word. The mystical, the darker side of the Marvel universe. Your Ghost Riders, your Blades, your Doctor Stranges, your that kind of stuff. Although he seems more like a Batman, he's really more sort of dark and mystical, sort of. And so when you have a movie like Blade coming out, you have him in the after credits scene in the Eternals. Excuse me.
There it is. I'll fill. Go on, do what you got to do. I'll fill.
Let the demons out.
That's right.
Yeah. And whether we like Doctor Strange 2 or not, we didn't.
Nope.
Yeah, that's up, by the way. We can talk about it. Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I don't have the podcast up. Well, but live.
This won't go up till probably Saturday.
Right. If you're watching it right now, it's not up. But by the time this is posted officially on YouTube, it will be up by then.
But the gist of it is, there's hopes that maybe even before the second season of the show, you see him as Moon Knight pop up in a Blade movie, or Midnight Suns is what they call sort of a group of these mystical / heroes / anti-heroes. You know, you might see a movie with a group of them together. So imagine like a Blade with Ghost Rider and this guy who talks to himself, another one possessed by a demon, and another one who's a half vampire daywalker, and Doctor Strange running around talking to demons and summoning stuff and being all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, maybe even with that cameo in his movie, you know, towards the end, you know, she may be around. So, you know, there's this all this fun, weird possibility. So I'm glad the TV show worked where maybe the recent movie we watched didn't. And so there's just hope. The more good stuff they do like this, the more I get. Yes. So I'm happy.
They're not all going to be winners.
No, unfortunately they're not. You know, I heard there's an actor. His name's Rahul Cooley. Please, I'm trying to pronounce that the right way. He's an English actor. He was in the movie about the cop where the town's like possessed.
Midnight Mass?
Yes.
Yes, I know the I know
Rahul. And he's in Riverdale, or was in Riverdale, or I don't know what other shows he's in.
Is that the name of the show?
Yeah, I don't know.
Riverdale.
But he just put out a tweet a couple days ago in reference to Star Wars, and it's very apropos, I think, to anything, even just people who like certain things, movies, video games, comic books, TV shows, anything you really nerd out on, and that's kind of what we do here. But he said something along the lines of, you know, Star Wars is like a, I think he said like a smorgasbord kind of thing. I'm going to find the tweet while I'm trying to say it. Okay. But, you know, the idea is, you know, not all of it's going to be great, but you can pick and choose what you want to enjoy. You don't have to like everything. You know, you don't have to proselytize it. You know, you don't have to run around and tell everybody you got to watch it, you got to see it. Yeah. Maybe not everything is going to be great. You know, I still like Revenge of the Sith. People crap on it.
Yeah, I do too.
You know, I will still say that was... Excuse me.
Yeah. I like
one, especially of those trilogies. You know, I really did quite enjoy that movie, and you don't have to. Same thing with this. I'm glad the TV show worked. I'm glad, you know, they're gonna. It appears they're gonna be doing more. I'll find it at some point here, and I'll read it later, because it's really apropos to everything we talk about here. You don't have to like everything, and this person, you know, maybe, and I'm not saying this to be insulting, but like maybe it is too cerebral for that person, not because that person's dumb. Maybe they were just in the mood for some action, and they thought that that's what it was going to be. You know, the preview, to be fair, the preview did show them running over roofs and jumping between stuff and fighting and all this stuff, and you assume it's going to be a lot like Batman. And, you know, it is not that. But that doesn't mean it's not good.
It was someone smarter than that, though.
But that's my point. I'm not saying they're...
Yeah. I just think that, I mean, like, even what Raul's saying, you'll find the quote and flesh it out a little bit. But, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, you know, I let people want, especially over the last few years, I've certainly evolved into this thing because, you know, I love a good debate and fight like anyone else. But, you know, if you really like something, if you grew up, we're all from different generations, not you and I, but people who grow up, you know, like Jurassic Park was their Jaws, you know, so you see how the way that works. Do I think Jurassic Park is better than Jaws? No. Do I like Jurassic Park? Very much. Okay. And I would argue that Jaws is better, you know, but I'm not going to take away someone's enjoyment of Jurassic Park unless they directly challenge me on what is better. Yes. I mean, if you want to like parts of The Rise of Skywalker, so be it. You know, I came out of that movie liking it and then thought about it some more and liked it a lot less. Okay. But if you enjoy it, great. But if you're going to tell me that's better than The Last Jedi, we're going to fight. that's the way it's going to be.
Right. I mean, we're always going to have our own personal rankings of those things. Literally, we were just talking about Moon Knight the other day, and you ranked it, and yours was the higher version. This other person said it was down at the bottom. Again, I don't necessarily agree. I'm more on your side with that. But Moon Knight was really entertaining. He was really good in it, like you said, him jumping between the voices and doing the blackout stuff and coming back from it and acting surprised. And
I mean, those blackout scenes, particularly that truck chase from episode 1, is so well done. You haven't quite seen anything like that I can remember. And you think about all the Marvel comic book action or just action in general, you quite haven't seen something done in that way. And the editing is perfect, and it keeps you off kilter, and yet it's still exciting, and you're still seeing bodies and crashes and all kinds of stuff. But it was completely different in a great way. And it I mean, again, you start something up like that, you have me, you have my attention. And then you start delving into the characters and the villains and whatnot. And I mean, when you start getting into like the mystical, cave dwelling surroundings and what they have to do to, knock things off, that's par for the course. It's gobbledygook for the most part. Yeah, but it's the means to the end. It's the thing that gets you to the bigger payoffs in the show. And
do we know who directed? I mean, I guess we'd have to go back and look at each episode, but do you know who directed episode, like, say, 1 with that car chase?
There were 4 episodes directed by, I believe his name was Mohammed Daib, who was the director I'm not familiar with. But the other, I think there were, I honestly thought that there were more episodes, that most of the episodes were going to be directed by the guys I've told you about here before, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who have done these really wonderful, low-budget, independent science fiction movies over the years. That the real, just really original knockout kind of stuff, really fun stuff too. I think they directed episodes 3 and 4. I think they did the middle ones. So I think that they did the one with the big episode 4 reveal. I might have that wrong, but I think Mohammed Daib directed 4 of the episodes, and Benson and Moorhead directed 2 of them.
Which are probably the first 2 episodes where we like the blackout car chase stuff and the other blackout fighting stuff. And then the last episode, which is the hand-to-hand combat, I finally liked.
Well, I think Mohammed Daib did both of those.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that turns out it appears he's better at that stuff than the other 2.
I'm in no way throwing Benson and Moorhead under the bus here. Their science fiction movies have not exactly been action-based.
Yeah, so, and I'm not saying they're horrible people. I mean, I don't know them personally, but the fact that they did that turnaround and that last episode, featured, I think, 2 really good, hand-to-hand combat scenes, and they felt good. They felt properly actiony, and they didn't feel stilted, like that fight scene with the art dealer guy that the guys on the horseback and stuff. It just, that one didn't look good. So here's the quote. Again, is Raul Kali, I believe. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm a fan of his. I watch him on Funhouse. It's a YouTube channel, and we like Midnight Mass and stuff. So I like him. But anyway,
that's another one. That Midnight Mass is another one where the plot of the villain is not fully revealed until very late. And that when that reveal happens in episode 6 or something like that, I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it was good.
We didn't talk about that on any of our lists, but that was good. So here's his quote. This turns out this is from last year, 8, so it'd be August 19th of last year. He wrote, "Star Wars has and will always be a restaurant. We all love eating there. We don't like every dish on the menu, and that's okay. You're not supposed to. Order what you like, avoid what you don't, and don't worry about what others are having. And don't be a dick to the staff."
I was just say that's pretty much just a nice way of saying don't be a dick on Twitter.
But look, that's easy enough. But it doesn't tell you why, and maybe the dicks don't care why they're being dicks. But I like that middle part. We all love eating there. We don't like every dish on the menu. That's okay. You're not supposed to. Order what you like, avoid what you don't, and don't worry about what others are having. It's not accusatory until that last funny sentence. It's just, I don't know. I read it the other day, and I don't know why it popped up on my feed, but it was appropriate to other stuff because, again, we didn't like Doctor Strange. We didn't like Doctor Strange.
No, we didn't.
And there are going to be people that do. There's another group that I text with, of friends, and they're all very excited.
Yeah.
And
I haven't seen it yet.
I never tell them anything. All I'll say is, I'm leaving,
Enjoy.
and I'll either say, I'll say something like, well, hopefully you enjoy what you see, and I might be a little bit more positive, but I don't say anything in particular.
Yeah.
I don't tell them how long, what it is, who goes there, what, cameos, all that stuff. I don't ruin anything, or not say anything I'm supposed to. But they get my vibe.
Yeah.
And in this case, they could kind of tell, and they're like, oh, all right, well, we'll see. I didn't shit on it. They may like it. They like the Eternals.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I didn't run around telling everybody you're dumb for liking it. I just didn't like it.
Dumb's a little strong. I mean,
there are people though. Don't be a dick to the staff. And
right.
I'm glad. I'm glad Moon Knight appears. I haven't heard a lot of negative stuff. I mean, I don't know why you would. It's very interesting. The character's interesting. It's a good introduction.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not done well. I think this is a good introduction to the character. He's different than other Marvel characters. And Oscar Isaac. He's great.
Incredible. Yeah.
You couldn't have asked for a better person to embody him. He does really well, and it just is a good show.
Yeah.
It just really did well. So I'm happy that it turned out the way it did.
Mm-hmm.
And that ending gives me hope. That's good.
The ending is just, I mean, it's great because like people. So be sure to stick around to episode 6 through midway through the credits. I think it's one of the only. I don't know. I don't remember if there was
none in the show.
There was none. Were there? But like, because it ends on one note, and again, the person I was watching it with kind of gave me like that's all we're getting. That's it. And I was just kind of like, I'm just kind of I was kind of intrigued by that, and I'm just like, there's probably gonna be something else. I didn't expect there to be that kind of reveal in the mid credits. I thought, sometimes it can be goofy, sometimes it can be kind of a offhand thing or whatever. But here it was a finality and a promise.
Yeah.
At the same time.
You hope.
Yeah, you would hope. And when that means translates to movies, I guess so be it. But I mean, I know that they're introducing some of these characters to eventually show up in movies, and unlike Doctor Strange, which we talked about on the podcast, that letting people that could be a problem for Marvel going forward if they become really reliant on setting things up, sort of testing the waters, even like Moonlight. If no one likes Moon Knight, maybe we'll push him back in the rotation a little bit, that kind of thing.
Or they force someone in that maybe otherwise wasn't as popular. I didn't like the Eternals. You liked it, but overall, I think it was kind of fair to not universally loved. If they have to feel,
it was not liked.
If they feel the need to start shoehorning that whole group into future the bigger movies. Yeah. Unless they do a turnaround, and they get someone in there to really, as far as I'm concerned, make them more interesting. Then you're going to be, in my eyes, basing your house on a foundation that's not very stable, and whatever. But you hope they get some sort of creative vision and not just Feige, which I put all my trust in so far. But really, it's the Russos that sewed all that up for me. They're three of my top 5 Marvel movies are theirs. So, I mean, without them being there, I think it's going to be a little bit harder for them to find someone who can shepherd everything they're doing over at Marvel to include, someone like a Moon Knight in a good way. How do you, Avengers is one thing. We got to get the band together, and there's like 5 or 6, Well, now you still got Doctor Strange lying around. They've made Wong fairly important, obviously. Yeah. You got Moon Knight now. Now you got the Scarlet Scarab, which is Layla's character.
I love that.
Yeah.
In episode 6, love that.
So you have her. You have the new Cap. You still have Winter Soldier running around. You have whatever they're going to do in Black Panther, so there could be one or more people still running around from that pantheon. Then you got the Hulk and She-Hulk. Then you got Eternals. There's 10 of them. You got Spider-Man, and whatever they're doing with Ned, he's running around with one of those things to make circles. Who knows what they're doing? So you have a potential of America Chavez from the new movie. You got 15 characters, or Eternals are 10 of them. So really, you got 23 characters. Mm-hmm. They're gonna have to pare that down. They're gonna have to figure out a central theme and get only the necessary people to really kind of make a solid Avengers trilogy 2 out of it in a good, interesting way. I think your more street level characters now, it would be an interesting take. Even with Kang and stuff running around, these people traveling through time and all that, that's one thing. But, when you have these, like I've said before, the most interesting part of this is a Moon Knight who you really liked in his show, being him the way he is. Now imagine him flipping personalities and talking to himself while talking to Tom Holland's Spider-Man in an Avengers movie. And Tom Holland's looking to be like, are you okay? Like that's the charm that the Russos would have done.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be interesting to see if someone can take this kind of Moon Knight that we liked and the Spider-Man we like, and I know you don't necessarily like Winter Soldier, but I think you kind. Oh no, you're not a big fan of that actor, so maybe not the new Cap, but maybe Miss Lonnie, when she's She-Hulk, maybe she pulls something out that you like.
She's a goddess,
but you get her in there, and maybe you get someone who really knows what they're doing. Let's hope, right? And we'll see. Who were we banding about for a while there? What did we see? And we're like, that would be a good person to do Avengers.
Director?
Yeah.
Wise?
We saw something recently.
He directed he or
I think it was a he.
Hold on.
I'm trying to think of some of the things we've seen recently.
He didn't do a comic book movie, did he?
I don't think so.
You thinking like a John Wick kind of guy, or the guy that did Deadpool 2?
No. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I'm glad this is interesting, and yeah, this is the first time this has happened ever. So yeah, that's good. Anything else you can think of that you liked about it or that popped out?
No, not. I mean, I'm sure I'll probably think of something later when thinking about it. But again, so people know where I'm coming from. My ranking of the shows, the Disney Plus shows, Moon Knight. I think Moon Knight, I'm giving a solid A. I can give it a solid A. I think it was a 6 episode arc. It was different, unique, interesting, really good characters, great acting, some good action, some great payoffs, a lot of weirdness. It was a nice blend of everything. Second, I think Loki. Was really fun and led up to a really great conclusion. WandaVision is third, which probably would have been higher if I didn't think it botched the ending a bit. Fourth, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, not bad, but it was a little middling and some stuff down the stretch. I think they made a couple big missteps down the stretch, and I ended up being more interested in Wyatt Russell's character than either of the two leads. So there's that. Then Hawkeye, a C, be a C- if it wasn't for the last 2 episodes. The last 2 episodes were reasonably entertaining. First 4 episodes, I did not care much for at all. So that's where I am. Kind of mixed bunch to be sure, but so far just kind of leaning on the positives.
My list is probably exactly the same, I would say.
A lot of people like WandaVision as like their top one, and I think they lean on the different part of it. They lean on that a lot. I think without delving into what makes it work and what doesn't make it work in some respects. Still good, There's
quite a bit I liked about that, but I do also think there were, and I'm not normally this person, but I do think it became a little too slow in the middle. there were still interesting things they pulled off. But once they started getting into the, you're the Scarlet Witch, here's the book, and all that stuff. I think in order to explain all that, they had to stop. Like, oh wait, hold on, let's do this, explanation thing for an entire episode and a half, and then we'll get back to the so far what had been the cool, mystery town story thing that was going on. I think that's where it kind of lagged a little bit, but so yeah, we'll go to our number twos, but unfortunately we now have to take a break because that's what Zoom is doing to us until I fix this. So hopefully I'll have this fixed by next week. But for right now, we're gonna take a little 30-second or minute break. Right, we're back from our break. It'll maybe become convenient one day when I can finally do an actual ad or something. But yeah, this is not the ideal. I don't know why they had to do this, but I guess I can.
Right.
Guess they need more money or something. So we'll figure that out. Unless you want to add a third one, I'm totally cool with you just going to your second one.
Well, let's see how it plays out. If I can't think of anyone, we'll call this 1A or whatever, 2B or whatever it might be. But we'll just consider this number one for the moment.
Okay.
If I can't think of anything, then I'll take you up on your offer.
Okay.
But I got a couple Blu-rays, so you need to hit your little
promotion.
Your little
I write
Better Call Saul bell. Your Breaking
right.
Bad bell. Yeah, your Salamanca bell. So I got a couple Blu-rays this week sent to me by the studios that I haven't had a chance to crack open, but I'm very excited to. And
I guess what one of them is?
If you got either of these, I'd be impressed.
Oh, okay.
It's probably, but I think I have that one that you're probably thinking about too.
A new 4K that I haven't got yet. That's one of my favorite movies.
One of your favorite.
I think it came out like a week ago.
Probably maybe not that one then.
4K RoboCop?
No, I did not get that.
Yeah, I did
not get that. Yes,
it's not on my list this week, but yeah, I got to get that.
Yeah. Arrow, which I haven't talked about Arrow. I did Shout Factory one time on the show. Arrow will come up at some point because they do some terrific work too. No, these are the 4K. And they came right on top of each other, and I wasn't expecting them this week, but they came in, and they're two of my favorite, shall we say, pre-Erik movies. By I mean time I was born.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Classic movies. Two of my all-time favorites. Black and white films, different eras, but classics nevertheless. One of them from the Criterion collection that just came out, new 4K release of Double Indemnity. Billy Wilder's one of many Billy Wilder masterpieces that in so many ways is a blueprint for so many film noirs and thrillers that have come out since. It's been copied and parodied and all sorts of things. Have you ever seen Double Indemnity before?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, I mean, well, the plot will sound familiar to you even if you haven't, because it probably sounds like some other movie that you've seen before. But Fred MacMurray plays an insurance investigator, and he meets this femme fatale played by Barbara Stanwyck, who through the course of their flirtation begin to, lust for one another. And it's really there sort of the purpose for her convincing him to help kill her husband. Yeah. And where the title comes from is an insurance term known as double indemnity, where a life insurance policy on someone will pay out double if it happens under mysterious act of God type circumstances. So if it, I think murder, might qualify. I don't know all the insurance things. All I know is they want to push them off a train. So, if you're falling off a train, you pays double. Okay.
Sure.
Seems like there wouldn't be anything mysterious about falling off a train at all, but that's ultimately their plan. And
a cow lands on you.
Yeah, there you go. Monty Python. Boom.
Sure.
Exactly. That should be an easy double indemnity.
Top secret.
Right there. Yeah, top secret. But yeah, I mean, and it's again, the dialogue in the movie is just so perfect. The way everyone talks. Edward G. Robinson, the great Edward G. Robinson, great character actor, plays MacMurray's boss. And one of the few, everyone associates Edward G. Robinson with like the hard tough guy, those type of roles and whatnot. And here he's actually like the good guy. He's actually like the moral conscience of the movie in many respects. And it's fun to see him play that. But it's, it has all the great stuff that a lot of people would associate with Hitchcock later on. The just fantastic suspense, great dialogue. It's very funny. Billy Wilder's such a great ear for dialogue. Performances are all great. If it makes you think of a movie, it's very much an inspiration for Body Heat in 1981 with William Hurt and Kathleen Turner. Very similar plot. Femme fatale tries to get the guy to murder her husband. Poor schlub, gets in Kathleen Turner, but is also might end up in jail too. So so Double Indemnity coming out from Criterion in a new 4K. I have not a chance to crack this open yet, so I'm not trying to cheat or anything.
I'm assuming with Criterion, like it normally is, there's like 9 million extra features and stuff on it.
There's a good amount of extra features on here. There's count. A lot of the stuff is kind of carted over because it's been on Blu-ray before, so it's not a lot of like new stuff. But yeah, it's packed with a lot of commentaries and interviews and old classic interviews with Billy Wilder and stuff, which is great.
Criterion always puts a good package together. I don't think they've ever put out a stinker, have they?
Well, they put out some packages that don't have that many extras to them, and those are always a little bit disappointing because when you and I first, got into the next evolution of stuff, it was Laserdiscs.
Sure.
And Criterion was a standard even with Laserdiscs. That the first two Laserdiscs I bought were Criterion. They were Ghostbusters and Close Encounters. Those were the very first two Laserdiscs I bought.
I think mine was Aliens, Criterion, right?
Aliens wasn't Criterion.
No.
Aliens was just a special box set.
What did I get that was Criterion? I got a couple.
There's been a lot. Blade Runner was in Criterion. Monty Python, The Holy Grail had a Criterion.
There you go. Release. There you go.
There's a lot of stuff that was on Laserdisc where Criterion are not Criterion on Blu-ray or DVD, even for whatever reason, lost rights, or I can't say that for certain. But also coming out from Paramount, one of my all-time, probably top 10 westerns of all time. and it's this.
Of course, I know the movie for being the movie, but what am I doing right now that I'm reading that?
This is getting to be goddamn ridiculous.
No, although that's great too.
Yeah.
The song.
What song?
Man who shot Liberty Valance. There's a song from like the 70s. I'll have to find it.
You will have to find it. I don't think I've ever heard that.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Man,
I'm probably just upset. I've lost so much credit probably by saying that.
Valance.
Yeah.
Anyway, keep going. I'll find it.
Yeah, but anyway, have you seen this one before?
No, I have not. And that is grossly that is my fault, and it is something that it is ridiculous that I had not.
You should really correct that.
Yes.
And the reason, I mean, there are many reasons why this is a favorite of mine, but I remember in grade school, when you get grade school, you have English class, and you'd have that book that had all different stories in it, and there'd be excerpts from books and something like some Shakespeare in there and stuff like that. Well, a part of one of, I don't know, 5th, 6th grade, something like that, one of the stories we had to read, or short versions of it, was this. And it's a remarkably seemingly simple story. James Stewart plays a guy who, is just a mild-mannered guy. He just wants to have a family in the Old West and run a business, and he runs across a bunch of bullies, and Liberty Valance is the chief among them, and it's just this constant harassment that goes on. You just can't keep, it's like the Karate Kid of its time for the young people listening today. And John Wayne is like, he's John Wayne. He's basically John Wayne in the story, and he's the one that, he's Goldie Wilson. Stand tall, boy. Make him, stand up for yourself. And he can't get him to do it. And
so like My Bodyguard.
Kind of like My Bodyguard. Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I guess you want to talk about things that have been inspired by the story. And, it's about the mild-mannered guy, standing tall and then rising up to the challenge and stuff like that. A High Noon, came out before this. So that's, obviously, you could call that an inspiration, but I mean, it was a story. So it's not quite that. But it has one of the greatest cappers in storytelling history, where the quote being, when fact becomes legend, print the legend.
Okay.
And I mean, that's something that has followed me around forever, and in good and bad ways. You think about the premise of it is, on the bad respect, you can say that with a lot of media nowadays, that there are a lot of facts out there, but they hear the little hyperbole and they go for the hyperbole, print the legend, but in the days like this, the idea that the Jesus-like element of the story wins out. That Patton Oswalt, which I just watched his special again for like the 5th time last night, does this whole bit where he talks about believing that Jesus that he existed, but he was actually like an amalgamation of like 15 to 20 different people. And that just the idea that anyone would do anything good during this really horrific time would just grow into, an amalgamation, and then everyone would just write about this one character. So when fact becomes legend, print the legend.
Well, it's like a Paul Bunyan or a John Henry Irons or
Don Quixote.
They become more mythical.
Right.
Just because they were so good.
Right.
And again, I'm not judging who or what's good or bad, or if they're good or bad people. I'm just saying that the myth, or like you said, the legend becomes more than even the good act or the bad act or whatever they did.
And that's the whole. I mean, that's what that's right there in the title, and it's the mystery. Who is the one that did it? It's not a spoiler alert. Is right there in the title. This happened, but who's the man? And when the fact becomes legend, print the legend. And on top of this, and I think it's something it says new. Oh no, that's something else. The old one of the old commentary tracks is by Peter Bogdanovich, who just recently passed away.
Yeah.
And he was, he was a student of this era and whatnot. And he really has great things to say. I've listened to that commentary before on another edition of this, and to have this in 4K, I can't wait the chance to watch this again. I haven't seen it in some time, but it's really, I can't think of 10 other Westerns that I like more than this one.
Well, and I mean, come on, those two guys together in the same movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's magic in and of itself.
That's huge. Did they ever do another movie where they were together?
I don't think so. If I'm blanking on something, I'm gonna lose my cred. But I think this is the only movie that the two of them appeared in together.
Wow,
yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, and both are great. I mean, John, again, he's playing John Wayne. He's a character, and he was in the original story and whatnot. But he shows up, and he's John Wayne.
Even John Wayne just being John Wayne is great.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it only is accentuated by the fact that he's doing it across from Jimmy Stewart,
right?
Who is so mild-mannered, everyman type thing. So there's this larger-than-life figure following him around, and like my bodyguard, trying to help him through this. And
what year was that? What year did that movie come out?
I think it was 62.
Stop it.
Yeah, 62, I think, is the year. I can look that up.
So one of two things happened here. Mm-hmm. Either the song came out because they knew the movie was coming out, or that movie became so popular that this guy did the song. His name's Gene Pitney. The song came out in 1962.
Okay.
And it's called it's called Liberty Valance, but in parentheses before it, because the chorus is so iconic, it's called The Man Who Shot, in parentheses, Liberty Valance. So I hopefully we don't get this video doesn't get taken down. It's only 6 seconds and it's over 50 years old. So I'm assuming it's probably public domain at this point. But so we'll see. But I'm going to try to play this and see. I'm going to go right to the chorus or the thing before it. And you might have heard this before. So here. Have you ever heard? Do you remember that song?
I'm now worried that it's in the movie.
Is it?
It's like I've seen the movie a few times. It's been a long time since I've seen it. It's still one of my all-time favorites.
Well, now
it didn't appear in the film.
Okay, so you just
looked. Didn't appear in the film.
You just looked in the soundtrack or whatever.
Yeah, it was recorded for it.
Oh, you just looked it up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because my brain was going like, I don't remember that being opening or closing song. I mean, it doesn't seem to even fit.
No, it's more like a pop song from the 60s.
Yeah.
That would have capitalized on the movie being very popular. Like, oh, let's hurry up and get a song out. They do that. They like a jingle. It seems like that's what it would be. But yeah, I remember that song as a child. I was only born 10 short years after that, and I remember it being played on the radio. And I have no idea why. But yeah, it's so the second, of course, you showed me that, I know there was a movie, but of course, the second I read the title, that tune, that chorus popped into my head like that. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Yeah.
Well, this is interesting. I'll just read what it says here. It says, when Pitney was recording the song in 1962, Burt Bacharach came in to announce that the film had already come out.
That's great.
It says, sure enough, the movie was playing at a theater down the street from the recording studio. And Pitney later stated, there was some screw up between the publishing company, Famous Music, and the parent company, Paramount Pictures, as to why it was never in the actual film. Both the movie and the song were hits.
Yeah.
Song peaking at number 4 on the Billboard charts.
I'm telling you, it was played 10 or 15 years later when I was a kid. 10 years later. Well, there's a weird little bit of trivia for you.
That's why you have Peter Bogdanovich on the commentary, because he's a student of all of that, and I'm just the schlub who's seen it 2 or 3 times over the years.
I'll definitely have to watch that. I don't. You know, again, I have a list of stuff, but
Yeah.
the two of them together,
Yeah.
is it's too hard to pass up.
Yeah. These are both
Cool. And the first one's Criterion, the second one's what?
Paramount.
Paramount.
Yes.
Is that like a special Paramount thing? Like, is it a like fancy Paramount, or is
Yeah,
it just
well,
regular old Paramount?
It's this new line of what they call Paramount Presents, and it comes with this like a little special little
that's cool
thing and whatnot. And just I mean, they've done Ordinary People just came out. They've done Airplane and John. One of the I think they Pretty in Pink was one of them.
They did Airplane in 4K.
It wasn't 4K.
Oh
no, not all of you. I think this is the first Paramount Presents that they did in 4K.
Okay.
These have just been like special edition Blu-rays with some new features and probably an upgrade in the picture, but not a 4K. This one is a 4K.
I not that it needs it, but watching Airplane in 4K would be kind of hilarious. I don't know what they could possibly do to make that look. The fact that it looks so bad, it lends it part of its charm.
Sure.
Yeah, but
yeah.
How funny.
Okay, so
yeah.
your second thing.
This one's a little bit more goofy. But if we all, it's not totally goofy because you did something similar a couple weeks ago. But
okay.
You mentioned RC.
Yeah.
As being one of your favorites, if not the favorite, dark colored sodas.
My go-to.
You really, yeah, it's your go-to. And of course, whenever I go over there, even the other day, got an RC for me.
That's right.
Gotta have one every once in a while.
I did.
But I'm not only am I a sugar guy in general, but I'm a Pepsi person.
Mm.
You know that when we were kids, they had the taste test, the challenge, the Pepsi
Coke
challenge,
Pepsi. Mm-hmm.
And all that stuff. I always like Pepsi more. I like Coke, but it's too acidic. I just find it too bubbly, too harsh. But I'll drink it, especially the McDonald's Coke, which I hear has more sugar to make it more like Pepsi. They have their own like
McDonald's Coke is good.
Yeah, they have their own recipe that they get from Coke. But yeah, if I'm gonna grab a dark cola, it's gonna be a Pepsi. So I heard someone else had told me, "Hey, did you try this?" And I had said no. And the way it looked, I know there are other products using this subtitle, and so it's called Pepsi Nitro. And you start thinking of Pepsi Perfect from Back to the Future,
yes,
and all this other, like, oh, this is some weird Pepsi. And Coke did like coffee Coke. They keep trying to put it out in those like slim cans.
Yes.
And like, oh, it's coffee, but with Coke in it. And you're like, okay, whatever. I wish I was a coffee person, but I'm not. I just don't like it. And so I'm like, oh, because there must be 3 or 4 other brands that do canned coffee, and they call it Nitro or have Nitro in it or this or that or the other. Nitro. And so I see this canned Pepsi that says Pepsi Nitro or Nitro Pepsi, and I'm like, oh, it's their coffee Pepsi or whatever. I don't care. I'm not going to try it. And then the person that had explained it, I'm like, does that have coffee in it? And they're like, no. And so I picked it up, and when I was picking it up, turns out they had a vanilla Pepsi, which if I can ever get a vanilla soda, even Coke vanilla, they have a vanilla Dr. Pepper. I like a vanilla taste now and again. And so it turns out, I'll show you the cans. They're like a 20-ounce can, 14-ounce can, so they're a little bit weird. But so this is the Pepsi regular, and then this is the vanilla. And I like trying stupid flavored stuff out. I love you're at like, whatever, the gas station, and you see, oh, they got strawberry Kit Kats or, whatever. I'm like, I'm going to try that. I'll give that a shot. Or tropical Peeps when it's, Easter or whatever. Like, I'll try that. It's probably garbage, but I'll give it a shot. But I tried both of these, and it turns out that basically the big deal is they took out the carbon dioxide, the CO2, and they replaced the gas in it with nitrogen. And they do it to make the bubbles smoother. They're very, very tiny. And it gives the cola almost like a root beer or a Guinness. I'm not a drinker, but I know what a Guinness looks like. When you pour Guinness, you get that like thick
foam.
foamy head on the top of it,
Yeah.
like a root beer.
Right.
They do it, and they specifically say it on the can. It says smooth, creamy, and easy to drink. They even show you how to pour it. They want you to pour it properly, like a Guinness, where you drop it in, so it pops makes the head on the drink to get the gas to move through the soda to like kind of remix the chemicals and give it a flavor. Well, I know you know me. Can you guess why in particular I thought, wow, okay, easier to drink, smoother bubbles, smooth and creamy. Why I'm like, I wonder if this is going to be good and why I might like this.
Because it'll make you burp?
Because it won't give me the gas pain of a CO2 pop or soda because I can't burp. You know my struggles through the many years you've known me.
Yes. I just think you never learned like a whistle.
See, but you can't, or a snap. Some people can't snap. You tell them
like in my 30s, I figured that out.
You put that. You put people's fingers in the right position. Do it, and then they can't do it. You burp, you whistle. I still can't do the 2 fingers in the mouth whistle. I don't.
I can't do that. I cannot do that.
No matter how hard I try, I can't do that. But I physically, I try to burp. Okay, gulp air. I can't. Well, if I have a particularly bad, if I'm at a barbecue or something, and I'm pounding soda, my 3rd or 4th in, I get my stomach distends, and I'm in like horrible pains because I can't just burp up the gas. I have to let my body like sort of digest the food and everything, and then get rid of the gas the other way. The deal though with this is, it doesn't do it. It's not as harsh. It's not, if you shake up a can of Coke and you put a balloon on it, it would, blow the balloon up with the gas expansion.
Yeah.
I don't think this would do that. And it's got that it's got like a thin head of these really tiny bubbles. And when you drink it, it almost gives you like a cola root beer sensation. But since I'm a Pepsi person, I like the taste. It feels different drinking it. I love it. It's really good. The vanilla one is particularly good because I got them warm, so I threw one in the ice maker.
Yeah.
While I was making food to get it to super cool. Well, I left it in there a little too long. So when I opened it, it had like ice particles in it, almost like ice shavings.
Yeah.
Well, when I went to drink it, it almost tasted like a vanilla Pepsi shake because the bubbles were suspended in the ice, and then there's enough bubbles left. It made the foam. It tasted like a Pepsi vanilla shake in a can.
Yeah.
And if that sounds even marginally appetizing to you, I suggest if you get them, throw one in your ice maker, let it go in there a little too long, crack it while it's got a little bit of ice in it, and drink it. They're great. I'm not, they're not paying me for this. I didn't get any of this free. I bought them because I was curious. They taste really good.
They sound filling.
Not, no more filling than a 14-ounce can of soda, I guess. Other than the fact that I don't need to burp the gas up. You don't get the belly expansion from all the gas, all the CO2 from when you drink soda. So yeah, that makes me happy, and they're really good. And the other weird thing about it is, you pop a can of pop, you get that crack, and you get the pop, and then you hear a little bit of the bubble fizz, right? Well, the can is packed with nitrogen. I'm assuming they mix the pop with nitrogen and then can it, or they mix it and then fill the can up with nitrogen and then, cap it or whatever, whatever you want to call it, seal it. When you open it, it sounds like a little bit of a jet engine because it's letting the nitrogen out very fast. So when you pop the top, I don't, just snap it like, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't rip the top of the can off. You pop it just, you don't pop, I just pop it just enough, and you hear it starts to go as the gas shoots out of the can. It sounds weird. It's not dangerous. Like a normal can of pop.
Yeah.
It's this weird sensation. It sounds different. It feels different. The can's a weird size, a 14-ounce can. It's not a 20-ounce can. It's not a 12-ounce can or an 8-ounce can. You know, the little 8-ounce ones you get, you know, the 100-calorie ones.
Yeah.
It's this weird 14-ounce can. It's like a whole new weird thing. But they're really tasty.
Are you sure it's not like Pepsi's version of The Stuff?
The Stuff?
Yeah.
Is that horror movie where you...
The yogurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, where the yogurt is just a parasite. Are you eating it, or is it eating you?
Who knows? I'm very sick. I don't think it's
start,
from the Pepsi.
Okay.
But you never know. Give me another week.
Yeah. Start turning evil and inside out. You know, I'm gonna blame that. So I might wait to see how it plays out on you before I try that. If you don't mind.
No problems.
Okay.
But yeah, I think they're in most stores now. So give it a shot.
Okay. So for my second thing is actually something that you turned me on to not too long ago, but some time ago. And I know you'll have some positive things to say about this as well, because I don't know how if it necessarily works in the podcast community, if we're all brothers and sisters and that kind of thing or whatever. But this would be one of your fellow YouTube sisters. Sisters.
Okay.
And I'm referring to a show called Popcorn in Bed.
Yes.
Which I didn't know these things because I don't seek out a lot. I let things come to me. If they come to me, there's a reason they come to me. But I usually don't seek out looking for podcasts, even things on YouTube channels, things like that. You know, if someone turns me on to something, great. You know, you're doing this, great. But you turned me on to this Popcorn in Bed, and her name is Cassie, right?
I think so. Cassie, something like that.
Right? And it's this young woman who apparently has not seen a lot of all the movies that live rent free in our skulls and many people's brains and whatnot, and somehow has turned this into a show. And she's not the only one. There are a lot of ones out there, but the thing we're gonna have to take a break here in a second. But
well, here, do you want me to explain how I came upon it?
Yes.
We'll take a break and then we'll come back and then you can go into why you like it.
Good. Yeah.
How about that?
Do that. Yeah.
So I'm fishing around this holiday season during Christmas, and I severed cable. So I don't have any cable anymore. And so I primarily play video games and I primarily watch stuff on streaming services. But because I knew I was going to start this channel, I had been watching other people for years do reaction videos to internet memes or other YouTube videos or Let's Play, like video game playing websites and stuff, and then they talk about it. And regardless, it's Christmas time. So what do you think one of the things is I'm searching on YouTube in general around Christmas time?
At Christmas time?
Yeah.
Christmas Vacation.
Close. It's a movie.
Is Chevy Chase in it?
No, Christmas. Think it.
Die Hard.
Of course.
Yeah.
And again, Christmas time will roll around and I'll talk about Die Hard then. But I don't know why I'm looking Die Hard stuff up or clips or something. I just wanted to watch something really quick. And that popped up in the algorithm. And it's just these, in this case, two females. She had her sister there for the first time. And I don't normally watch movie reaction YouTubes. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It just wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
And I think partially because I felt maybe some of the ones I had seen felt insincere. I'm not calling anyone out in particular. I'm just saying it appeared like I'll just watch this because it'll get me clicks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Die Hard, so I just hit it just to see.
Yeah.
And she and her sister came off as incredibly sincere that her sister didn't even know who Bruce Willis was, which cracked me up. And then secondly, they had never seen Die Hard. And one of the very first things they say is they go, everybody said that this is a Christmas movie. So we should watch it. And it really genuinely appeared. They appeared really sincere.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this should be pretty funny. Let's see how it goes. And 28 minutes later, or however long the Die Hard one is, I sat through the whole thing. They were both very endearing, and the fact that they kind of know stuff about some movies, but they don't really know a lot about movies.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll explain why here in a minute. But that's really how it all started. And I saw that one, and I was like, oh, boy, I wonder if they've done anything else, because they appeared like this was a new thing. And then I think the next one was I looked, and there was like 12 others at the time. There's a lot more now.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was like Back to the Future or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my God. Okay, now I got to see. And sure enough, hadn't seen it. And it just, the sincerity won me over. And I go, hold on. You got to watch this. And I sent you a link. I'm like, this, if they're being fake, they're very good actresses for just being fake. Like, let's get clicks.
Yeah.
If they weren't being fake, they were being very real, and the realness was endearing in a way.
Yeah.
We've known other people throughout our lives who've like, yeah, I just didn't watch a lot of movies, and we were always like, okay, let's all watch this movie together with this person, so we can like watch them see it for the first time. Yeah. And I got that same vibe because I trusted our friends that they hadn't seen it. And these people came off. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, entirely sincere.
So here, let's take a break. I'll send you another invite, and then you can go into the whole spiel about them.
Okay.
So here, we'll be back in a second. All right, we're back.
Yeah.
Again, sorry about that.
No problem.
My coughing fit and Zoom not wanting to be nice. We fixed it. So yeah, so I sent you that link to. I don't think it was it might have been Die Hard, it might have been something else. But yeah, this starts your path on this, I guess.
It did, and that was the thing that did strike me about it was the sincerity of it. I mean, since then the algorithm has taken a hold, and on my homepage all the time, I see, reaction videos and whatnot. And the pictures on the video are always, someone with a giant laugh or a giant scare or a giant cry or something. It's all animated. It's all, and not that people can't have animated emotions and whatnot, but watching her reaction to it, and there's a sweet naivete about it as well that is kind of hard to fake. Really, I mean, even if you're a really good actor, I mean, even professionals have trouble faking naivete sometimes because they're smarter than that. So it's hard. It's not a natural thing to fake, and it always amazes me because we're movie geeks, and so many people we know are the same way, and. I mean, even with our, our good friend Dan, he always jokes about me every time, he says he hasn't seen a movie, and he's seen a lot of movies too. and I'll go like, "You haven't seen that movie?" And he goes, "Oh my God, you haven't seen this movie." He always jokes with me about that. But with her, I mean, she's watching all of the big ones: Die Hard, Back to the Future, Star Wars, and whatnot. And you're like, how is this possible in society that someone was that sheltered or kept from these movies for whatever reason? I don't want to get into any kind of speculation.
Well, she says straight up in the one video, one of the first 10 or so, she mentions, she doesn't really do it anymore. She'll say stuff like, the reason I haven't seen this is because I used to watch, she says this, she does, chick flicks. She calls them chick flicks, and she says that that's all she really cared to watch. She doesn't really say there was any other reason other than it seemed like she was just disinterested. She just was disinterested in other stuff, and she would watch some chick flicks, and that's all she cared to watch. And now whatever started her on this path to start watching these movies, and now she's very successful. She's got a couple 100,000 subscribers, but she's pretty clear that she just didn't,
and this is the thing that why I like it. So one is obviously the sincerity of it all, and it's kind of fun to watch her react to things that we know are coming and stuff like that. So like the reactions feel genuine; they don't feel staged in any respect
at all.
But just on a personal level, one of the many things I love about movies, maybe I've probably said this to you before, maybe I've even said it here on the show, but one of the many things that I love about movies is watching other people's reactions to them. Especially something that I've seen already, and could be something I've seen 6,000 times. If I introduce it to someone for the first time, I mean, I think about my nephew right now and all the movies that I'm going to get to introduce to him over the years. I already got him hooked on Back to the Future. He already knows dialogue from the movie. So I love watching people react. And sometimes I don't get the reaction that I'm hoping for, but usually with her, I always do. Because I tend to, I haven't seen all of them, obviously, there's so many of them, but I tend to seek out the ones where, sometimes I seek out the obvious ones just because I want to see how she reacts to a Back to the Future or a Die Hard or something like that. But I tend to seek out ones where I know that there are big twists in the story or some shocking violence in the story, or to see how she reacts emotionally to something. And watching stuff like Saving Private Ryan or Schindler's List and seeing her have genuine human reactions to the storytelling, that to me is fascinating from anybody, not just her, but watching her do it, kind of feeds my natural instinct to be curious about how other people react to movies. I just last night hosted Raiders of the Lost Ark at Elk Grove again.
Wait, what? I always tell you one of my favorite questions you ask every single audience before it starts is you'll say, oh, how many people are here, and people raise their hands and stuff, their cheer or whatever, and then you always go, who here has never seen it in a theater? And then there's a percentage of people that arms go up, and you're obviously it's going to be your younger set of people because they weren't around maybe when the movie came out in theaters and stuff. But then the next question is always my favorite. You say, how many people have never seen this movie at all?
Yeah.
And you'll get, obviously, the younger crowd. Their hands will go up and stuff. But then, inevitably, with every single one of these movies you do at these theaters, there's like half of the adults raise their hand. 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, there's whatever. Sometimes they're older. They were around when the movie came. Like they were old when the movie came out, but they just didn't want to see it. And now they're like, "Hey, I'll go see this movie." Yeah. And we're always looking around like, "Oh my God, there's 40 people in this theater that have never seen this movie." And it's like you say, it's always because then when the movie ends, one of the first things you say is, "Oh, hey, anybody here that didn't see it? What'd you think?" And then you get their immediate reaction. And it's, you don't play bombs, you play good movies, and so odds are they're gonna like it. but it's interesting to hear their take on why they like it.
Yeah.
Sometimes 20 years after the movie came out.
Yeah.
And that's all this is, encapsulated into a 28-minute, 25-minute YouTube thing.
Right. And just, I mean, to play up the Raiders thing last night, just to tell you what happened with it, we're still not quite getting the crowds that we did pre-pandemic, pre-Hellscape and whatnot. We had a decent crowd for Raiders last night, but when I posed the question, one guy. There's one guy in the younger, probably maybe in his teens, upper teens, perhaps. And it was funny when one guy raised his hand. It made me so happy. We had one guy in the audience, and not everyone's like, "Yeah, what the fuck? Haven't you seen this?" They all seem to be in unison. Like, well, that's cool. We got a newbie to join in on this.
I get excited. I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I can't. This is so good for this person. This person gets to see this.
Yes,
I've
seen Raiders, countless times in the theaters, even. And it just to have that one person there, it makes it you start looking for other things because you want to kind of talk to that person. This is why I like it. What did you think about it? And of course, when the guy raised his hand, there was one guy that came in late, an older gentleman, not real old, but like he came in by himself. Was probably maybe in his 50s, give or take, and he sat down by himself, and he was kind of like in the direction same down here from where the guy was up, but he kind of looked up to him, and he kind of looked back at me after he raised his hand and goes, "Young people." Which I couldn't help laugh at. But then I asked him the guy's reaction at the end of the movie, and unfortunately I got what I half expected when you get young. And I brought this up. I started talking about this at the screening. I said that there are young people that, and I don't mean this as a knock on young people, just because they've grown up in a different era of cinema. Now I sound like an old fogey now, but that, like I mentioned, the Jaws Jurassic Park thing, that like the Jaws pacing might not be up to the speed of someone who is more used to a Transformers or a Jurassic Park or something like that. And so I asked his reaction. He said it was a good movie. He was kind of like being that it was a good movie, but parts of it were kind of silly. And
silly.
Yeah, and I'm just like, silly, and as soon as he said it, I'm just like, yeah, you hear that a lot. You hear that, that's a word that comes up a lot when you start dealing with 20, 30, 40-year-old cinema of a next generation. You hear that word. I've heard that word a lot, silly. And I started talking about the word silly, and I said, well, there's stuff in the movie that's purposefully silly, that's meant to be silly. It's not, Spielberg even said himself that's not meant to, and not everything in the movie is meant to be taken literally. Indiana Jones is not a superhuman. He's a guy that screws up a lot and things that, we're getting off topic with that, but that's why I like watching her. She did one for Mission Impossible, the first cruise movie.
I just saw that the other day.
I watched that because I wanted to see her react to the twist. And sometimes, again, it's funny watching people who haven't quite caught up to the plot sometimes, and they're kind of working it through, and like, well, is that guy with that guy? What? And the sister picked up on something right away during the thing and was like, oh, she got it. And then Cassie was a little behind on it and whatnot, but it was just, I don't know, it fills me with a weird, happy joy, seeing people enjoy things, and whether or not they can talk through why they enjoy it so much. She does like a recap at the end,
which is also smart of her.
Yes,
the reaction itself is good, and she could just say, well, that's that, and I had a good time or whatever, right, and then leave and go, next movie such and such, and end it. But she actually goes almost like here's the 5 things I learned, or it's not that, but like you said, a recap.
Mm-hmm.
It made me scared in this part, and wow, I didn't even think of that. And then when it happened, and it's like, yeah, those are the little roller coasters she went through,
right,
while she was watching the movie.
Yeah. It's just, and again, it's she's not going to be a film critic. But we're all, at the end of the day, we are all film critics in some respect. There's just some people write and articulate it in a different way than other people. So yeah, you might hear her say the same things at the end of the movies a lot. Maybe scared, funny. I thought that was weird. That was crazy. You hear that a lot with her recaps, but that's fine. Because I believe it.
And I think, I was just gonna say, it makes it even more genuine.
Yeah, I'd much rather listen to her use the same adjectives over and over again to describe what's in here than listen to the hyperbole burnouts on Twitter trying to justify something that's not justifiable.
Some hot take. I gotta get the clicks. I gotta get people angry. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. Right. She's like, wow, and that part, that guy, I didn't even realize that guy, it's like I said, the genuineness is what caught me. And like you said, it's, we have a friend, I remember, the only other real reaction videos I've ever watched is the Vader reveal.
Right, which is
of course. Empire, father reveal of Vader is by far. You show that to a kid now after you showed him Star Wars, you watch him go through Empire, and you get to the point, and there's tons of those little 14-second clips of some kid, what, and their eyes get huge, and they look at the parent in the video, they're like, he's the dad, he's his dad, like it's so genuine.
Yeah.
It's the only other reaction to movies that I've watched. And she appears to be like that with everything.
Yeah.
Whether it's scared, because she never watched horror movies.
Right.
Whether action, she watched Fury Road.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, come on, this is going to be crazy. And sure enough, everything was like mind-blowing to her because she was used to whatever. Her thing, chick flicks, is what she refers to them as. And so if that's all you've ever been fed, or if that's all you've ever chosen to eat, you eat up a Fury Road, it's going to be shocking. And yeah, that's awesome.
I would like to see her do, she purposely stays away from it. I like to see her do some of the horror movies. I like to see her do The Thing.
Yes, I thought of that, yes.
Seriously. It'll probably be a lot like this, I imagine, but again, there's something to that too. It's fun to see people get scared, and it's funny to see people have emotions. It's fun to see them, a universality about these works of art that we all respond to, and I think that's so perfectly human. It's just one of the so many reasons why I love movies, and popcorn in bed gives me, it brings a smile to my face, to use an old cliche myself. So
yeah, but I knew obviously it's Die Hard, so I enjoyed it on that level. Right. But when I watched the second one, and like I said, I think it was Back to the Future or something, the first thing I thought was, I gotta send this to Childress, because it's movies, and it's a particular love of yours, and to be able to watch, and all these movies are good. She doesn't pick like a dud on purpose. She even has little polls so people vote in like what you should watch next and stuff.
I will say I'm very jealous of when she has the unboxings and people.
Oh yeah.
I'm just that's the moment where it's like, oh boy.
Yeah, she gets like a bag of like 300 DVDs. Yeah. Someone sits and opens all the boxes for her, I guess, and they're in like a pillowcase, and she dives through. Yeah. But yeah, it's fun. Like, and I know you especially would appreciate, which obviously you do, the first timing of it. Something you love so much, watching someone experience it for the first time.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm very interested in having her watch a movie like a RoboCop, because she watched Die Hard, and she watched a couple other action movies, but it's an action movie. It's about like a robot cop or something. It's not, and just to watch that, 2001 would be, again, it may not, the audience is probably not going to vote for her to watch that, but it would be very interesting to see her take on that. And then Thing was one of the ones I thought of, which is what you had done. And then there was another one I had been thinking of. And I was like, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you do. That's cool though that
And,
you're still
and,
watching.
and I should mention too, where we should mention that you don't get the entire movie.
Yeah.
But okay, it's edited down to its essentials and certain scenes and her reactions. So they're usually somewhere between a half hour to 45 minutes, usually in that realm sometimes.
Yeah, and even then that might be long. Like for a movie like a Lord of the Rings might be like a 45-minute one. But
Yeah.
like your average movie, I think they're only like 25 minutes. They're a
Yeah.
little quick watch. Throw
Yeah.
it on while you're, you come home, you eating something for dinner, you're going to bed. It's just something to listen to and and watch as she's watching it. Yeah, it's endearing. I'm with you on this. It does. It brings me joy every once in a while to watch one of those.
Yep. Popcorn in bed on YouTube.
Yes. I'll put a link. Again, like I always say, anything we're talking about here, I'll find a link to and something that's related to it, either video, website, something, so you can able to click on it. That'll be on the YouTube video down in the notes. It'll also be on Apple iTunes down in the notes. If you scroll up while you're listening, all the notes are down there, even with links. You can click on that, and it'll open them right up on your phone or tablet. In case you want to see some of the things we're talking about, or a direct link so you can follow it. So in addition to that, you can also follow us on our respective podcasts and, in my case, YouTube channel. Hit the link to subscribe. Hit the little bell for notifications. You can do the same thing for your two podcasts, Friendship Dilemma and Movie Madness podcast. They're both on iTunes and Spotify. Please do us a favor and hit like for that. Appreciate it. So my number 3. Excuse me. Hold on.
Cough break, everyone. Cough break.
Yeah, cough break. One of these days it'll go away. Is a little game I heard about on a couple podcasts, and it intrigued me. I didn't know what it looked like. But the way they talked about it got me intrigued. I don't like to play games on the PC. I don't really have a good graphics card on here, even though it's pretty powerful. It's the one thing I couldn't afford. So it doesn't play games fairly well. But once they said it looks 8-bit, I knew my computer could probably run it pretty good. And it's called Vampire Survivors. Sounds kind of generic, right? And you go, Vampire Survivors. Okay, what's that? Sounds kind of generic. So without a visual, I still can't get that working yet where I can show you a visual on here. But for our podcast people anyway, you couldn't see it. The gist of it is, if anybody remembers or is familiar with, and I'm sure you do, the original Nintendo system, a game called Castlevania.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Remember what Simon Belmont looked like with the whip, and he's, very pixely, the 8-bit look, the original Nintendo look.
Yeah.
That's what all the sprites and the environment looks like, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember a game called Geometry Wars? It's kind of like Space Invaders, but you were in that rectangle.
I was obsessed with it for a little while.
There was a specific achievement that you have that I still have yet to get. You have an achievement on a video game that I still can't get.
Really?
You had to survive. It's called Pacifist. You had to survive without killing anything for 60 seconds.
Yes.
And it's incredibly hard, and you did it. And I still have not done it.
Yes.
So, imagine a game like Geometry Wars, but that looks like you're playing the 8-bit Castlevania game from the original Nintendo.
Okay.
That's what the visuals look like. The environments are either open or closed, and you're your little pixelated vampire hunter. You get a choice of 3 at the beginning. And, in Geometry Wars, you're the ship. You start the game, you play, and you see how high you can go. In this case, you try to get a 30-second run. There are games where each time you play, it's different, and you try to do a run to the end. So you start, you're in the environment. First one's a forest, and you're, say, a little Simon Belmont guy, right? And yours is you throw a knife. So no, whatever direction your guy is facing, that's where the knife comes out. This is the first time you're playing, so you have no upgrades, no nothing. The knife will come out on an interval of about every 5 to 10 seconds. You do not press any buttons. You do not fire the thing manually. The only control you have is one stick if you're using a controller. Movement. If you're on a keyboard, up, down, left, right. That's it. Everything else is automated. So you start out, you throw a knife every 5 to 10 seconds. I think it's like every 5.
Mm-hmm.
They start to send a couple bad guys after you. So the idea is you go and you get them. 1 out of every 2 is going to drop a little experience gem. To go from level 0 to level 1, you might need 6 of those gems. So you run around. There's a little timer at the top of the screen. And for the first minute, that's how hard it is. And all you do is move. So you pick up your little experience gems. You get 6. You hit level 1. It brings up a choice menu. 1 of 3 options. A whip, which will do a left to right arc. Or there's like a cross that will shoot out at the nearest enemy and then boomerang back and then disappear. Or there's a third. Garlic is one of the ones. And it pumps out like a little circle around you of like a force field. It's garlic. So you pick one. Now, okay, so you have a knife and say you pick whip. So now the knife will always go where you're pointing it. If you pick whip, you will now, wherever which way you're facing, you will do a little arc of a whip. So now you have a knife and a whip. And they are on an interval of about every 5 seconds or so. Okay. You still survive. Now to go from level 1 to level 2, you might need 12 experience gems or 10 to go up one more level. So you run around, you do that. Every level you hit, it gives you a choice of 3. Now, say you pick knife again. It gives you knife as one of your options. It tells you if you pick knife for your level 2 knife, it will now do 10% more damage. Okay. Level 3. Now you pick garlic. So now you have a little force field. You're doing 1 whip at level 1. You're throwing a knife now at level 2. It does 10% more damage. Once 1 minute hits, the enemy might change, or you might get more of the same enemy. So now for the next minute, it's faster and harder. Again, all you have to do is move. It's a lot like Geometry Wars, but you don't have to use the right stick to shoot in the direction you want. Every weapon has its predetermined direction and damage. You just do this, and your hope is as you level things up, that you can make it to level 30-minute time limit. The screen clears, and the Grim Reaper, who's 3 times the size of every other sprite, comes on the screen and instantly kills you. If you can make it to 30 minutes. If I could show you a screenshot now of what minute 29 and 30 seconds looks like, you are in the wherever you're trying to move, you're about an inch big. The entire rest of the screen is filled with enemies. And you're hoping to God that the build, based on the weapons you've picked and the skills you've picked throughout your run, is enough to repel and kill as much stuff as you can as it's constantly refilling the screen so that you can make it to minute 30, have it clear, and have death kill you.
Death Blossom.
Basically. It's called a reverse bullet hell. There are shooting games where you're the ship and you can barely survive because there's 100 bullets on the screen all coming at you. In this case, you're the one pumping out all the damage. And they're trying to get to you through the bullet hell that you're creating, which is normally the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets so frantic and crazy and epic by the end. You have literally, if you've upgraded the axe, that when it just kind of throws it up in the air and then it arcs down, does pretty good damage. But it goes up a little bit and then goes down the screen. So you're clearing out underneath you. You hit up a little bit, and then it goes down. If you get the ultimate upgrade to that, you're pumping out a circle of scythes in a circular motion. It just pumps it out, and it goes woof, and ever expanding. And so it's killing a lot as it's doing that. while you have garlic fully upgraded to, it's something called Soul Eater, where as they enter it, they're being killed, but you're getting a little bit of health back, which you normally don't get. And so, depending on the thing, but the genius of it is so you're done, right? Say you get to minute 12 and you died. In the midst of it, you've also collected some coins. So you might have like 650 coins. Okay, great. Well, when you start your next run, it says a button there. It says unlocks. Well, you go into that screen, and one of them might be all area of effect damage is increased by 10%. You can now buy that with your coins. Now, when you go into your next run, that unlock you've bought is a permanent upgrade to any character you choose to play. You can also unlock characters. If you find a coffin in the level, you can open it. And I found one called the Cleric. And it's a guy who throws bottles of holy water. And they randomly will land on the map and do a puddle of blue ethereal fire. And if anything walks through it, it dies. And it might leave experience. Well, if you upgrade that, it basically throws one in the air and just does a ring of fire around you. So it becomes super powerful. I've now played this thing. It's $3, by the way. It's created by one dude. It's $3. It's on Steam. You can download it. You can buy it for $3. It's so effortless. It's a very small download. Just about any computer can run it. Laptop, whatever. $3. Buy it on Steam. I think I've put 15 or 20 hours into it already. I just bought it the other day. And while I've been sick, when I've been feeling a little bit better, I'll come down here and just do a run. And I might get 20 minutes into whatever. I called Mrs. Fun down here. I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get to the 30 minutes. She comes down because she wanted to see what happens. 29 and 41 seconds, I died. It was just one ghost or something got just through this wall of death I was pumping out. One ghost got just enough in there, and boom, killed me instantly. Because at that point, they're doing a ton of damage. They just wipe you out. But yeah, 29 minutes and 41 seconds, I died. People have their stuff now online. I've watched a video of a guy do it. People have now gotten everything unlocked. So when they do a run, they have all these upgrades. You're starting out pretty powerful. And then they've unlocked like a demon that throws out a flaming cross, and this kind of thing. And they're running around the map. They've literally gotten to the point where they do no movement challenges. So again, the only thing you do is move. They just start the game, and they sit there and just click and pick the build, basically. As they're killing things, they power up, and they just go, okay, I'm going to pick the cross this time, and then I'm going to pick the Holy Tome, which makes things shoot out on a faster interval. And they don't move. The whole purpose of the game is to move and kill more things to try to avoid being hit.
Yeah.
They've figured out a way to become so powerful that they can sit in the center of the screen, not move at all, and just pick the right stuff to survive 30 minutes. And the guy that is making the game is doing an upgrade like every 2 weeks. So they go on and they're like, oh, we found 3 more new heroes, and there's these new enemies, and there's this whole new map, and there's this whole new thing. And this is one dude at his house making this thing, selling it for $3. A ton of people are playing it. It's perfect for an iPad, but he hasn't ported it there yet because I think he's doing so many upgrades to the PC one. It's super fun. It's super cheap. You will have to play it on a PC. You can't play it on a console or anything yet. It's ridiculous. It's the best $3 you will spend in these. It's less than a Happy Meal, and you will get 20. I've gotten 20 hours of fun out of it already. It's such a good time. It's totally ridiculous. I'll put a link to the video in here. But I know, again, I keep telling you to try some of these games, but knowing how much I remember you liking Geometry Wars.
Yeah.
It's that style of kind of fixed screen fun movement and avoidance while killing tons of enemies. It's very much like Geometry Wars, but in this 8-bit style, and it's got a little bit of RPG elements to it where you're upgrading your guy and you're finding new guys, and they each do their own little power and thing. So every time you play, it's a little bit different. I know you're gonna dig it, and you'll get addicted to it if you download it. But for $3, you should.
Is it downloaded on the Xbox?
Unfortunately, it's not on any consoles yet.
No.
So on your PC, there's something called Steam or Valve. If you go to Steam game site, I can send you a link, but the Steam game site, it's its own store, and you'll have to put in your credit card and stuff, but it's $3.
Okay.
I will find an easy way for you to do it, but I'll include a link in the post here for anybody else who's interested at all in giving it a shot. Again, they're not paying me to promote this. I've been having a freaking blast with it.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, the beauty is, even if I get good at it and maybe I unlock a bunch of stuff, in probably 2 or 3 weeks, he's going to do another update. And there's going to be more stuff in the game. So once you buy it, it's yours, and he just keeps adding stuff.
And what was the name of the game again?
It's called Vampire Survivors.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay, I found it.
Yeah, there you go. On Steam, did give you a link to Steam?
Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean. I'm looking at the
screenshots
played and one. Yeah. Well, just a video of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see how I could totally get in. It's very Geometry Wars, Robotech.
Yes.
That type of stuff, and stuff like that I enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Been a while. Geometry Wars. I played a lot. I played so much Geometry Wars that I started getting blisters.
Yeah.
Because you have to. It's constantly moving that thing around, and once I got to the point of blisters, I'm like, I better stop a little bit. It's kind of hurting now.
Well, the beauty is too is I don't know, a lot of people aren't aware, but if you have a standard Xbox controller, either an Xbox One, which you still have an Xbox One, or the new Xbox Series controllers, Series S and Series X, as long as you have a Bluetooth version, your PC, Windows 10 and 11, actually accepts these. You can Bluetooth them to your PC. So if you don't have a joystick, but you have an Bluetooth Xbox controller laying around, you hit the same sync button, and you go to your Bluetooth settings in Windows, and you hit sync. It'll sync this to your PC, and now you can use your Xbox controller on your PC. It's pretty genius. So if you don't have one around, you're like, I don't want to use the keyboard. I hate using the up-top. Like me, I hate using keyboards to play games. You got an Xbox controller. It's all settled. You don't need to go buy one or anything. You just hook it up. So,
Interesting.
So
I didn't come up.
We got to take a break.
Take a break. Yes.
Sorry. We'll be right back.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. We're back again. Sorry
Yes, we
about that interruption. All right, man. Go for it.
Well, technically, I have done 3 things. I did not come up with a new third one, so I was going to Moon Knight, the 4Ks, and Popcorn and Bad. So I will move on to my thing that I'm looking forward to.
Okay.
And it is as shameless as it gets, but the Chicago Critics Film Festival that I produce is coming up May 13th to the 19th, and looking forward to it for so many reasons. This is the film festival, the only, to this day, 9 years running, we still have not found another film festival that is curated by film critics, let alone run by film critics.
Really?
Yeah, and I like it that way, frankly. Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, 9 years running, and they're like the Tribeca Film Festival has, and I think maybe Toronto did something where they kind of added a little like critics list where like they do like 4 or 5, they program like 4 or 5 movies from critics that have chosen them. I don't know where they got that idea, but but this one isn't. I mean, again, like, when I said that I was booking flights earlier, it's for this, and so it runs an entire week of the Music Box Theater in Chicago, and looking forward to it just because we think it's one of the best, maybe the best lineup we've ever programmed from top to bottom. We have some really wonderful directors coming in to talk about their work. Just this very week, I had a screening I was going to go to on Tuesday. Okay, we'd seen Doctor Strange on Monday, and Tuesday afternoon there was a screening I was going to go to, but we also had this mixer thing for the festival that I was going to attend, which is later in the afternoon, so which meant I would have had to go to the screening and then spend like 3 hours downtown waiting for the mixer to start, and that's 3 hours of time that I would have not had to work on putting the festival together, and I chose not to go to the screening. And it was a good thing I did, because it was in that very moment, it was like 15 minutes before the screening would have started, if I was downtown, that I would have found out that we got Patton Oswalt for closing night. And he's going to be there for the Chicago premiere of his film, I Love My Dad, which was a big hit in Austin, South by Southwest this year. We have Patton is coming in, the director and his co-star of the movie, James Morosini. And we also got the female lead in the movie, Claudia Sulewski, who's got family here in Chicago, and she really wanted to come to Chicago to premiere. She's bringing her family to the movie, and that's going to be again another closing night for the ages. We've had a number of them, and expecting that's going to be a pretty full house as well. So I mean.
That's not your only guest, too. Like, you have other guests.
No.
Yeah.
No, we got on opening night, Cooper Raiff, who directed this movie Cha Cha Real Smooth that we're opening the festival with. He's going to be there. The director of this movie called To Leslie will be there Saturday night. And it's his feature debut, but he's done a lot of really notable television work, including a number of episodes of Better Call Saul. And if the IMDb is correct, he will have actually directed the penultimate episode of Better Call Saul. So that, which won't even have aired yet.
Wow.
The time that we see him there. And he's going to be coming in. Sunday night we're playing this. I mean, this is just a fraction of the movies that we're showing, but the ones that are having guests. This amazing documentary called Hold Your Fire, that sort of a kind of like an Attica Light. It was something. There was this event in New York City, this hostage crisis, that miraculously so many people actually survived because of the way that it was de-escalated in many respects. There were casualties, but the fact that so many people on both sides, cops and people within, are able to tell the story today is a little miracle in and of itself. And Hold Your Fire, it's an amazing documentary that the director Stefan Forbes is going to be there. Monday night we're playing a 35mm print of Boogie Nights. That is just going to blow the roof off the Music Box. We love that movie so much. Tuesday night we have a movie from Slamdance called Straighten Up and Fly Right, that the writers, directors, and stars of the movie, Kristen Abate and Stephen Tannenbaum, are going to be there for. A story about a young woman who has a severe spinal condition. She has to walk hunched over because the spine twist, like they say, in the shape of a question mark, basically.
Wow.
So you live your life hunched over like that. And so they're going to be coming in, and then, as I mentioned, closing night with this movie, I Love My Dad, which is a cringe fest comedy that everyone in the audience is going to be laughing and going ooh throughout, and not because there's like weird fluids or anything in the movie. It's just an uncomfortable comedy that is so funny and very, very cleverly done. And Patton Oswalt is a star of the movie, and he's fantastic in it. Rachel Dratch is also in it, and Laurel Howery is in the movie. Yeah, and so I'm just once it begins, once we introduce the festival on that Friday night, and I get up on stage and I introduce everything, that's when the anxiety level falls.
Sure.
And right now it's all getting stuff together, making sure everything's taken care of. I said, it's not only is this a film festival curated by film critics, we pick all the movies, we run it. We are doing all the work. All these film festivals that have staffs and can outsource all this stuff for bookings and sponsors and all this stuff is literally less than 10 people.
You guys are literally there at a folding table,
mm-hmm.
selling tickets and getting people lined up and announcing movies. And I've seen Colin get people in line. I've seen you walk around and talking to people and introducing stuff. And obviously you do Q&As before, sometimes after certain movies. I know I walked around, like we talked about 2 weeks ago. I walked around the block and handed out flyers, the one night programs for the stuff. Like, it's all grassroots for you guys, and it's always like the 5 or 10 of you there every time I've gone doing all the work. So
I didn't do this last time. Did I make this my looking forward to on the last show?
I don't think so.
Oh God, I hope not. That'd be embarrassing. But again, also huge love to the Music Box staff. Yes, we help organize.
Oh, yes. I mean, they're there too. It's not like you run the theater.
But staff are just they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. Go there, make sure you tip if you can. But they do great work. The concessions there, the lounge there is so wonderful and comfortable. And there's a bar there, and I don't know if we're having any specialty drinks this year, but sometimes those can be fun. But yeah, it's so. musicboxtheater.com. Tickets and passes are available right now. Some of those titles you're going to want to jump on and make sure you get tickets. But again, passes $150. You're getting like 15 free movies.
If you were to see everything.
Yeah. We have 25 slots, 23 features and 2 shorts programs that have 16 shorts together in them. So you get 39 features and short films for $150. So yeah, tickets are $15 a piece. You buy 10 tickets, you bought a pass. So you might as well buy a pass and go see 11 movies.
And this is like all week. It's not like people have to assume like, okay, Friday night I go and I have to watch 57 movies in 3 days.
Right.
And then Monday I got to go back to work. Like, this is taking place, yes, some during the day, obviously on the weekends, but this goes from Friday to Thursday night. So after work on Monday you can go see a movie every night. All weekend you can see 2 or 3. There's wonderful food around there. There's like you said, the little cafe with the drinks and stuff right next door, and there's a pass through right into it.
Yeah, right
from the theater
next to the Music Box.
And if you've never been to the Music Box Theater, you're missing out. It's fantastic, old school cathedral like theater in the city.
You just don't see them anywhere. You don't see them. I mean, especially not even in Illinois, at least in the Chicagoland area. There's nothing like it. It's old. It's old school in the best possible way. It's the greatest theater in the city, in the state, as far as I'm concerned. Music Box Theater, May 13th to the 19th. Come and say hi.
Yeah, you'll be there just about every day, won't you?
I will be there every day, for every hour. We'll
see. I'm gonna try to make it out to at least one day. I don't know which yet, but I'll try to figure something out.
Sure.
It might even be Saturday, because I will be going to, I'm gonna be going to my comic shop, which not mine because I own it. It's the one I've been going to for close to 30 years. Because Saturday, May 7th, is, so it wouldn't be. It'll be
May 14th would be.
Your Friday. So yeah, it's a week ahead of time. Yeah. So in this case, I won't be double dipping on the same day. But this Saturday, the 7th, I suggest you go to Dreamland Comics in Libertyville, Illinois. That's where I've been going for 30 years. But this is happening all over the entire country. I don't know if it happens in Europe or not, but it is free comic book day. And what that means is you can go to any of your local comic book shops, not your Barnes and Nobles and your, bookstores kinds of things. This is comic book stores. There's even a searchable website. I believe it's 1-800-COMIC-BOOK. And you can find, just go on your phone, hit maps, and type in the word comic book as a search, just like you would fast food. Type in comic books, and it'll tell you where the closest comic book shop is to you. And on Saturday, for children all the way up to adult readers, if you go there, you're guaranteed usually at least your choice of one free comic book. Some places are incredibly generous, let you take 2 or 3. Some let you take whatever the hell you want. Some it's 2 or 3 per person. So if you bring your whole family in and you got mom and dad and the kid and the sister and this and the boy and whatever, each kid or person is walking out with 2 or 3. It's not just take something off the shelf and take it away for free. What the comic book industry does, both independent and major, like Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, they produce special free comic book day issues. It's got a logo at the top. Sometimes they're just reprints. So it'll be like, I'm trying to think of a comic out right now. That might be on issue 5 or 6, but it's huge. It's selling tons and tons and tons of copies. What they may do instead of doing a new issue is do the free comic book day issue reprint of issue number 1, which is out of print. You're not going to find a physical copy of it anymore unless you're paying $20, $40, $50, $100 for it. In this case, you're getting a free reprint. Again, it does have the logo on it, so it's not really collectible at that point, but it doesn't matter. You get to read a new book. So it's your chance to either A, you're a comic book reader, you can try something different that maybe you didn't take a chance on to read. Or if, your kids watch the Marvel movies, DC, Marvel, whatever, and you're like, that'd be kind of cool. Maybe we should see if they like to read the comics. You go to one of these places, and you're usually guaranteed one issue, if not a couple. What you also have to understand is it brings people into the comic book shops. Everything's digital nowadays. You can read just about all these books through reading services. Marvel has a digital service. DC now has a digital service. Amazon has one. I'm not promoting them necessarily, but that's convenient, right?
Yeah.
You pay like your Netflix fee and you can kind of read whatever you want.
Yeah.
But in this case, the brick and mortar store is really where the fans go. It's where you go to sit and chat about all the comic books you're reading, or someone goes, hey, did you ever read this one or that one? It's like going to the video store when we were kids.
Yeah.
There's very few things that do that anymore. You go to a bookstore, it's very sterile, feels like a library. This, you can bring your kids, you can usually bring your dogs. You say hi, everybody knows your name if you go there regularly. It's like cheers, but in this case, you bring your kids, they'll love it. Some places do it up. They'll get clowns, they'll get balloon animals, they'll do, they'll have music pumping out of the place. They'll give out, food. They'll have people bring baked goods in. They'll get pizzas. They'll make like a whole thing of it to try, to get people to come in and say hi and introduce them to it. And that's where you could go to, you get a free pull list, and then maybe, your kid likes the new Marvel book. They'll always have an issue waiting for him. So once a week, you can take him to the store or her and get their, weekly book or monthly book. But this is their way of promoting it. And since I'm such a comic book person, I want people to know that this is a way you can do it without a whole lot of effort. You walk in, there might be even be a bit of a party about it. Grab a couple issues, say hi to everybody, see what the hoopla is about. Walk around the store, maybe buy an action figure. Say hi to the guy or girl who owns and runs that store because it's their passion and it's what they love. Like the guy that runs Dreamland Comics in Libertyville. His name's Charlie. I've known him for 30 years. And if you go there, you should. And say hi and go get a couple issues. And enjoy yourself this Saturday. Make a little trip out of it. I know there's a Dairy Queen right by Dreamland. But, go get a hot dog, hang out, get a book, read the book in the car while you're getting some food or whatever. Make a day of it. Hopefully the weather's going to be nice. And get yourself hooked on a couple comics. Something that you may not be reading or haven't tried in a long time.
Yeah, that's very cool. It's very cool.
You can't really do that with much else. You can't be like, hey, come to the movie theater and see a bunch of free movies, or you can't go to Best Buy and have them hand you a bunch of DVDs or games. They're not going to do that.
As much as I've tried.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Never quite pull it off.
Even as affordable as your movie is once a month, still not free.
Right.
But it's damn affordable at a couple bucks. It's not expensive. So
right.
Yeah, I hope people go. I know people go every year, but I'm just saying, like, I hope you go. Sometimes they even give out little games and, there's usually a hero click. These things I collect and play. Mm-hmm. Every year, Marvel usually do a free comic book day click. So you may have to buy something in the store, but they'll give it to you for free, kind of thing. So yeah, as a matter of fact, I might even have. No, I don't have it handy. I know I had one around here right here, but yep. Comic book. Just do a search in your maps function on your phone. You'll find the closest one to you. Odds are it's only about a 20-minute drive, 15 minutes. So,
yeah, and I think I'm gonna try the Vampires Survivors game. I don't know if that's going to decrease or increase my anxiety, but we'll give it a shot and see where it goes from there.
The good thing is it starts out slow, so it's not too anxious. About the 10-minute mark, you'll start to realize how hard it is.
Yeah, no, I remember I know Geometry Wars very well, and yeah, it gets to a point where you just like this, so
cool. All right, well, thanks again. This was fun.
Yeah,
and we'll see you next week. I'm not quite sure who's going to be on yet, but we'll figure it out at some point.
Look forward to it.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Later.
See ya.